Welcome to worship with Portage United Church of Christ. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here, you are celebrated here. We are glad to have you join us in worship, in ministry, and in mission. Good morning to those who will be joining us online once we get this video up. We're glad to have you join us as well, whatever day and wherever place on earth you may be joining us. So, I have some catching up to do after missing the first 2 Sundays of Lent. It feels like this is the first Sunday of Lent for me, but this is the 3rd Sunday in the season of Lent. And our worship series for Lent is called Purveyors of Awe. It is about cultivating spiritual depth so that we can expand our understanding and our experience of the world and the place we inhabit. Our altar background is really cool. Once again, we've got beautiful colors of the sunset and a whole array of cameras that I'll bet at least a third of the population in this room have never seen before. Some of these are the kind you had to put in a roll of film and crank it up, right? And then take it to the drugstore, to Kmart, or to Woolies, to Woolworths, or some store that is no longer in existence. And then you had to wait, 2 weeks, maybe a week, to get your photos back? And there'd be a whole bunch of people going, right? Or moving. And so they didn't come out well, and you can't do retakes anymore because you're no longer on vacation at the Grand Canyon. I digress. But those are the kind of cameras that are up here. Thank you so much to our worship arts team for once again a beautiful, innovative altarscape for us. I asked them if they wanted to use my phone because that's where we all take pictures now, but they thought nobody would be able to see the phone because they don't stand out. So anyway, I'm relieved these are outdated because I definitely like the editor on my phone and all the retakes I get to do. All right, so a few announcements that you probably saw scroll past you, but I just want to bring them up to your attention. Starting next Monday, Pastor Mac is beginning his Lenten series on death and dying. It sounds, since becoming a grandmother, I decided that I am more in tune with my mortality now, so I may begin to go to that myself. But I think it's going to be really awesome. Awesome. It will be an awesome and awe-filled experience. He, this weekend, is at a workshop on becoming a death midwife. This is kind of the second time round for him to review in preparation for this series. I think it's going to be really neat. Take a look sometime on the announcement about it in our weekly email, as well as up here on the screen, and you'll see some of the questions that they address. Death and dying is something we don't like to talk about, but if you've ever been on the other end and a loved one has passed and not talked about what they want, it's a difficult place to be in. So these are important discussions to have, and Pastor Mac will be superb at guiding this. Next Sunday is the 5th Sunday of March, so we will once again be doing our 5th Sunday mission project. We'll begin here in the sanctuary for the opening part of our worship. Then we will continue our worship in the fellowship area. We will be packing together hygiene kits for church world service and cleanup buckets. These are both these are like 2 of the kits that are most in demand for church world service. With all the climate disasters happening in our country and around the world, with all the people who are fleeing poverty and climate crisis in their countries, some of these basic necessities supplied in hygiene kits and cleanup buckets are desperately needed. So we will be putting those together. The outreach team has asked you all to make financial contributions so that they can purchase the supplies we'll need. So far, we've I say that hesitantly, we have received 1/4 of our goal of the money we need to put together these kits. So if you are able to even just contribute $5 or however much you can contribute to help us reach our goals for these kits, I don't know where Nancy is it 100 hygiene kits we want to do? And how many cleanup buckets? 4 cleanup buckets. 100 hygiene kits and 4 cleanup buckets. So if you can help contribute to that effort financially, please do, and we'll go out and purchase those supplies. To those of you, we have a lot of you who are visiting here today, this is a really fun Sunday. No one preaches. You get to sit at small tables and talk with people, and you get to do something awesome to make this world a kind and generous place. So if any of you who are visiting here today would like to join us, please know that you are welcome to do this. Secondly, let me tell you all who aren't aware why we have this abundance of cream-colored attire in our congregation today. You may or may not be aware that for the past couple of months, I think it's been since January, were you the choir director, David? Our former choir director, David Hook, has conspired with our current choir director, Joey Gottschall, and they have been rehearsing here on Saturday mornings with a group of students from Madawan High School, as well as former students of Madawan who are now attending places like Western, GVSU, Lake Michigan College, and there are also students from Portage Central, and they have put together a choir that will be traveling to Italy and performing there. So since they have been using our space to rehearse for the past several weeks, they are now gifting us with their music this morning, and we're delighted to have that happen. I asked David what the name of this choir is so that I could tell you all, because we've just been calling it the Italy Choir, and he said that's what he's calling it too. So welcome, Italy Choir. I hope you have an awesome time. It is absolutely fabulous there. I know it will be an amazing and enriching experience for you all. So those are our announcements, and it is time now to kind of take a moment and come into this space here, right? This space where all the chaos outside, the stress of outside, the concerns, the anxieties, they are in the cloud of forgetting. And here we are in the space of grace and awe, the space of welcome and love. So I invite you all to just take a deep breath. And let's take 2 minutes of silence to be present in this moment, in this place. During Lent, we are taking a threshold moment that is a combination of music and speaking. Monica will play during the whole time, and we will lead you with words. Scott and I will lead you with words. There will be times for you to sing and join in unison prayer, and those words will be up on the screen. May this threshold be a blessing and a foundation to our time together this morning.
The 13th century Christian mystic Meister Eckhart said this, "And suddenly you know, it's time to start something new and trust the magic of beginnings. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning."
As we continue our worship series this Lent and consider what it means to be a purveyor of awe, we focus on one of the most important elements for curating a life of spiritual depth: curiosity. The ancient poets of our faith and the mystics of old wrote prolifically about seeking as a spiritual attribute. Faith is not about certainties. Instead, it is about taking a stance of humility that we cannot know everything, and that the spiritual quest is what it means to be faithful. To be on a quest to discover more and to experience more of the holy in our lives. In a time when so much emphasis is on what we know, we remember in our Lenten journey that it is what we don't know. It's what we don't know that is most valuable for discovery, and staying curious is a condition for awe.
The element of curiosity is linked to well-being of all kinds, spiritually, mentally, creatively. Awe-filled experiences are curiosity boosters. Play, imagination, experimentation, and even simply slowing down to linger longer as we engage with the sights and sounds and smells of our ordinary surroundings can add to the amount of awe in our lives. Curiosity resists easy labeling and classifying. Rather, it invites us to deeper discovery about life, faith, and each other. Let us rise in body and or spirit and pray.
The path is ever unfolding before us. We are invited into the seeker's journey at any moment. God forgives us. Jesus embraces us. The Spirit enlivens us. We are whole. With awe, we accept, we receive this belovedness. And all God's people say, Amen. So during the Lenten season, you all who have been here the last 2 weeks will know this. We are going to be offering this time to greet one another and offer one another words of peace. The simplest way to do this, my friends, is just to turn around to those who are nearby you and say, the peace of Christ be with you and also with you. Let us greet one another with signs of Christ's peace. Our opening hymn is called Come and Seek the Ways of Wisdom. It's a new hymn, very melodic. I think y'all could do this. And we got this awesome choir who can lead us in it. Oh, you guys will be great. Monica will play it through once so you can become familiar with the tune, and then we will join in and begin singing. So take a breath, and when you're ready, please stand and join us in singing our opening hymn.
This is a moment for children. If anybody would like to join me, they may. Well, following with the theme of awe, you might remember that the first week we talked about awe, and we had a lot of wow moments. Can you all say wow? Wow. Okay. Then last week, we had some thoughtful moments, and we all went, Okay. So we're going to learn another word today, but first, I want to remind us that we're using the song, It's a Wonderful World. And I'm going to read some things. I've been asked not to sing it. So the colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. Well, I love that people are all different, right? We can see it here. We're all different sizes, ages, some not old, I learned this morning. Different languages, we wear different things other than cream.
Mark, it's oatmeal.
Oh, it's oatmeal. Oh, sure. I was going to say ecru, but okay. I've been corrected. So we learn new things, and that's interesting too, right? And when we learn new things, sometimes we might go, what? Can I hear everybody go, what? Yeah, like, why? What's going on? What? So that's our word for today, what? Well, we are lucky that there are so many different ways that we can see people differently and enjoy the variety and understand that even though we're all different, we have some things in common, and we want to learn about people, but we want to celebrate that we're all unique as well. So that's a great thing. And our word today, from our bucket word, is curiosity. And curiosity is using our imagination to ask questions. Today is going to be about questions. Other than just what, we're going to try some other questions too, okay? So one of the common ones that we often hear, and maybe you guys say this to mom all the time, why? All right, why? What's your record for the number of whys in a row? I don't know, 15, 22, 47, why? Why? So that's one that we hear a lot, and we use it a lot because we're curious. We want to know what's going on, right? So that's one. How about this one? This one's kind of fun. It's going to use our curiosity. What if? What if? That's really just, what if? What if dogs and cats could talk? What if, you know? What if we had cake for breakfast? What if, huh? What if we filled this room with bubbles? Wouldn't that be fun? Would you pass these around? Yeah, take one. Well, we're going to try it. Let's see. What if anybody else brought bubbles? Did anybody else bring bubbles? What? We all say, what? You brought bubbles to church? So we're going to fill the sanctuary with bubbles. Oh, yeah, you're really good at it there. Mary Kay, what if we don't stop? What? What? Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe we better stop for. Oh, we don't want to? All right. Nobody wants to? Why? Yeah, why? What? All right. All right. You can keep going. I don't care. And then the third one in today's bucket is, what's up? What's up? This is when we're talking to people. Maybe you go home and ask family members, hey, what's up? Or you ask them about their life. What would you like as a kid? What did you like to do? What did you like to play? Did you blow bubbles as a kid? What's up with you? Okay? And when they tell you something interesting, what are you going to say? What? What? You're going to learn something new about them, all right? So what's up? So we're going to greet people that way, all right? So ask a lot of questions. Be curious this week. That's what this week is all about. Can you say a prayer with me? Okay, repeat after me. What's up, God? What's up, God? We're here to say, thank you for the world today.
Thank you for the world today.
What a gift.
What a gift.
In which to play.
In which to play.
With bubbles.
With bubbles.
Full of wonders. Full of wonders on display.
On display.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, thanks, kids. You can keep the bubbles if you want.
Our first reading is an excerpt from Scott Shigeoka, author of Seek, How Curiosity Can Transform Your Life and Change the World. We need to embrace what I call deep curiosity. This is the kind of curiosity that invites us to use it as a force for meaningful connection and transformation. This is what strengthens our relationships to ourselves and each other.
Our second reading is an excerpt from chapter 2 of the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is part of what is called the wisdom tradition in our Bible. In this book, the poet personifies wisdom and invites us to seek her out. In essence, the book of Proverbs invites us to let our curiosity be a motivator for searching the awe of God. Hear now this excerpt. Incline your ear to wisdom and take her truth into your heart. For if you yearn for insight and cry out for understanding, if you search for it as you would for silver and dig for it as you would for buried treasure, you will understand what the awe of Yahweh is and discover how to truly know God. May God add a blessing to the reading, the hearing, and the living of this word. So, this is a moment for adults, and there's some empty chairs up here. If any of you would like to come forward, like you did for Mark's time. Just thought I'd invite y'all. I was thinking it's interesting. Many of you come eagerly forward for the children's moment, but I can't get the folks out of the back row back there, Andrea. Oh, look it, the other preacher comes to sit up front. Let's see who else. Deborah, Barb. Thank you, David. Just kidding, y'all. I love you, even when you sit in the back row all the time. All right. It was July 1969, and some longtime family friends of ours invited us to their cabin, which we always understood to be out in Holland, and it was right near Lake Michigan. So we packed up our green station wagon. Our station wagon did not have wood paneling. That was not until we got the fire engine red station wagon that we had red paneling. But at the time, I'm pretty sure we were on the green station wagon. We packed it up with all our essentials, like swimsuits, styrofoam kickboards, which are probably now somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean, still alive, still in one piece. And my parents probably threw in some other things like, toiletries and that kind of stuff. But we packed that up in our car and headed out on 94 to go west across the state to get over to Holland and get to that cabin and have an enjoyable family vacation. We'd stayed at this cabin before. These were friends my parents had met when my dad was teaching in Fenville. So we knew the Woodbees and we knew their cabin pretty darn well. And much of what we packed up was pretty routine because we knew what we needed to go swimming in Lake Michigan. But this trip, there was something unique that we took along, something that we didn't ordinarily do on this family vacation out to the cabin. This time, my dad rented a color TV. We didn't have one at home, so we couldn't pack up our own. This time, my dad rented a color TV for the week. Anyone want to make a guess as to why he packed up a color TV for the week? Bingo, you guys are good, yes. It was that we were there for the week of the moon landing. July 1969, before many of you were even a twinkle in your mama's eyes. We packed up that color TV so we could join with about 530 million other people around the globe to watch the moon landing. Now, I'm going to tell you, 530 million people didn't seem like too many to me, because especially when I think how many billions watched Princess Diana's wedding. But then I realized this was 1969. There were a lot of people in the world who didn't even have electricity yet, right? But nonetheless, 530 million people around the globe was a pretty big number for 1969. I read recently, as I was prepping for this sermon, that there were people who gathered in cafes in Europe to watch the moon landing, and there were nearly 10,000 people who gathered in Central Park in New York, where they had put up giant screens so that people could watch this moon landing together in big crowds. My family just gathered around, the five of us, around this TV in Holland, Michigan, and I suppose in some magnetic force field way, we were joined with everybody else. It was such an exciting day that my dad took pictures of the TV. As Neil Armstrong was getting out of the lunar module, putting his footprint on that moon's surface, he wanted us to be able to relive the moment on our, maybe once a month family gatherings where we watched slides and ate popcorn on a Sunday night. Anybody else do that? I think I remember the moon landing more from the slides than from actually seeing it. That's the kind of exciting day it was for the world to watch. Friends, this was the 1960s experience of awe, wasn't it? This was the 1960s experience of awe. Even with our primitive technology, we could experience awe on a global scale. People around the world probably all gasped at the same moment when that lunar module touched down, right? Their eyes probably welled up with tears all at the same moment when Armstrong walked out of that module and set foot on Earth. And we probably all got goosebumps together when he said those words, say it with me, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, right? On that day, in July 1969, our world got a little smaller. And at the same time, our universe just seemed to get a whole lot bigger. Or maybe it's the other way around, that our world got a whole lot bigger and our universe got smaller. But this is awe. This is the way awe works. It's a feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends our current understanding of the world, cracks it open for us. Awe resets the defaults of how we think and how we operate as human beings. Awe orients us to devote ourselves to things outside of our individual selves. It's about our relation to the vast mysteries of life. And this is not just speculation. It's not just all based on anecdotes of how we tell others about what we felt when we stood on the rim of the Grand Canyon. It is more than just anecdotal information. There have been studies, brain studies, that show when we experience awe, the regions of our brain that process our experiences from a self-oriented point of view, the regions of our brain that are associated with the excesses of our ego and make us feel self-defensive or self-critical, those regions of our brain that spike up anxiety and depression, when we experience awe, those regions take a deep breath and relax. Those regions of our brain that trigger all that self-oriented stuff, those regions just calm down. It's what they call the vanishing self. The vanishing self. And in turn, the regions of the brain that kind of crank up, that increase their connections and their connectivity, are the regions that involve our sense of reward, that make us feel good about what we have experienced and motivate us to do it again. When we experience awe, this means then that the boundaries that we construct between ourselves and others, the boundaries that we construct between us and them, when we experience awe, those boundaries dissolve. And we shift from a competitive mindset, from a me against you type of mindset, to a place where we begin to perceive that we are parts of networks of community and collaboration and interdependence. When we experience awe, all those self-focused regions of our brain take a holiday and tell us that we are part of the whole history of humanity, that we are part of an ecosystem. This is the awe of God that Proverbs calls us to seek out, to incline our ear towards. Now, usually in the Bible, this gets translated the fear of God. It makes us think we're supposed to be afraid of God because God might zap us at any moment or make bad things happen to us because we're misbehaving or because we hit our sister or brother. That's not what the Hebrew meaning of the word is when they say fear. It's the kind of thing like when you're standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon at that rim and your breath is taken away because you are so full of awe. That's what they're talking about. This type of awe that puts you in the vastness of God. This is what the book of Proverbs is calling us to seek out. The awe of God that takes us out of our current, narrow, limited understanding of the world. The kind of awe you all in Oatmeal are going to experience when you travel abroad. Your current understanding of the world is just going to go because you are going to see things and meet people and hear a language that you've just never encountered before. Your understanding of the world, your lives will be changed because of this experience. That's awe. The awe of God leads us away from our ego-driven lives. And it leads us into networks of community and collaboration. And while all of this is taking place in our brains, all that activity, and while all of this is taking place in our souls, this encounter with the vastness of God, as awe moves us into a larger picture of reality, space gets opened within us for creative juices to start flowing. And those creative juices, they bubble up from a place of deep curiosity. Deep curiosity. Now, we live in a world that doesn't have a whole lot of time for deep curiosity. Deep curiosity doesn't come all that naturally to us anymore. Because we live in a world now of constant, immediate, instant updates and notifications, right? Over and over and over. Boom, flashing up on our phone screens. When I was with my daughter for 2 weeks after she had her baby, her phone was right by her while her baby's fussing and crying and nursing, and I just saw notification after notification after notification flashing up. And I'm like, girl, no wonder you're stressed out. It has nothing to do with the baby, of course. But these things just pop up all the time. On your phone, on your computer, right? To let you know you got an email, to let you know you got a text, to let you know someone liked your thing on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. Because, boy, that's important to know right away. Even when we watch the news, those of us who still watch TV news, you can be listening to CNN, you can be watching Fox News, you can be watching MSNBC, and there's a talking head yapping away at you, and what's going across the bottom of the screen? Breaking news. That, dang it, that darn little ticker tape thing, so that you can get the news spoken to you, and you can also read the news. Because we all know we need 24/7 news coming at us in double time. This is the world we live in. You don't need to be curious about anything. Anybody feel like that? We can text message, we can instant message, we can email someone if we really have to. That takes so long. We'll do it to avoid the risk of someone actually picking up the phone if we called them, and then we might have to talk to them for 5 minutes, and they might ask me how I'm feeling, and then I'd have to ask them how they're feeling, but I don't have time for that. God forbid we leave a voicemail. My kid's voicemail is all full. It's pointless to make. Mine's probably full right now too, right? You could leave a voicemail, and then you got to wait for someone to get around to check their voicemail, and then they'll text you back. Maybe. If we're really curious about something, if we really are curious and just need some quick information, what do? Google it, right? And what happens? 1,000 answers pop up. What's that? And they're mustard, right? Will tariffs really make the price of eggs go up? Or will they make the price of eggs go down? My favorite question to Google right now is, what foods do I need to eat to improve my bone density? And you know what? Every list is different. How long will reflux in infants last? That's another one I'm looking up all the time now. Oh my gosh, I've looked that up so many times. I have noticed in myself, and it's really starting to bug me thanks to this worship series, I read the New York Times, and they are courteous enough to tell me this article is a 10-minute read. This article is a 5-minute read. This editorial piece is a 2-minute read. This one's a 20-minute read. I don't want to take the time to read a 20-minute piece. That's too long. It's going to make my brain work too hard. Oh my gosh. Clearly, this stirs up a little agitation in me. It's all intense. And it turns out that all this instant information, and you don't need any scientific studies to tell you this, you can see what happened to me. All this instant information, all these instant answers, they spike our adrenaline and our cortisol levels. They trigger in us our fight or flight response. We lose sight of the larger whole. We lose sight of the big picture of eternity because we are just pummeled with instantaneousness. Instant information doesn't cultivate curiosity, it squelches it. It crushes it. Because that fight or flight mode just makes you go like this. And where does the space for creative juices to flow go? Instant information does not cultivate curiosity, it squelches it. And that means awe is squelched, which means we are trapped in our limited and narrow understandings of the world and the people who inhabit it. We lose sight of the vastness. We lose sight of the mysteries. We lose sight of the awe of God to which curiosity draws us. Did you know, and you could look this up and instantly get an answer, did you know that the Gospels record approximately 305 questions that Jesus asked? 305 questions. But what I find even more interesting, or perhaps just as interesting, is that Jesus was asked approximately 180 questions. And of all those questions that he was asked, he only answered 3 directly. I want you to be curious about that for a moment. Sit with that. All those questions asked. All those questions unanswered. Why do you suppose Jesus asked so many questions? He's the Son of God. Wasn't he supposed to know everything? Why do you suppose he answered so few questions? Wouldn't he want us to know and to understand? What does all this questioning suggest about a life of faith and discipleship? What does all this questioning suggest about life in general? Jesus didn't ask surface questions. That's what else is really interesting here. He doesn't ask questions like, how are you doing today? He doesn't ask questions like, where'd you go on vacation? How was work today? Not that there's anything wrong with these questions. We all ask one another those questions. They're polite questions. They're welcoming questions. Jesus went deeper, though. He went deeper than just seeking out information. And as people who are followers of Jesus, that means this is what he invites us to as well. To go deeper in our curiosity. He asked questions that were intended to cultivate a relationship, not just welcome someone and be friendly, which of course, like I said, this is good. But he also went to the place of asking questions to cultivate a relationship, to tell that individual, you matter to me. He asked questions like, what are you looking for? What do you want me to do for you? Who do you say that I am? These are the kinds of questions for which there is no quick or instant answer. And I invite you to resist your urge to come up with an instant answer. My spiritual director recently asked me a question like this. For a variety of reasons, January was a very difficult month for me. When she and I met in February, we talked about what was going on that was difficult for me. And after a few minutes pause, she asked me, where do you find hope these days, Mary Kay? Now, I immediately sat forward in my chair and opened my mouth to answer. And then I had to sit back and shut my mouth a moment because I realized I didn't have an instant answer for her about where I found hope. And to be very honest and perhaps a touch vulnerable with you right now, that was because my instant answer was going to be, I don't find any hope anywhere. That was the space I was at. So I paused a moment, and the place we meet is out in Three Rivers. It's a place called the Hermitage Community. So it's in this wooded area that's very quiet. And if you've ever met with someone like a spiritual director or even a therapist, you know there's always those gaping silences, right? I paused, and I opened to, I guess, what we would call that awe of God, the vastness of the space and the silence. I opened up to that space that could transcend my current understanding of hopelessness, so that space for curiosity could open up within me. And when I inclined my ear to that space for curiosity, I found the place where I found hope. I found hope not in the big scheme of things, not in the big news events of the day, not even in heartwarming big news stories. I found hope in those little quotidian things, the day-to-day routine things that I rarely ever paid attention to. Things that people here in the congregation said or did, or questions that some of you asked. Things I noticed sitting in my backyard. Things like the fact the sun comes up every morning, no matter what kind of mood I'm in. When I paused and resisted that instant, immediate answer, I could rest in that vastness of awe and find it. Take a moment this week, my friends, to pause for some deep curiosity. Do you think maybe that you could take a moment each day? 5 minutes? 5 minutes to pause? Could you take a moment to consider the lilies of the field? Or the birds of the air? How do the geese know when it's time to come back? Do you think you could take a moment this week to ask a loved one? To ask a friend? To ask yourself, where do you find hope these days? Where do you find joy these days? Take these moments this week, my friends, for curiosity and for awe. And I bet you will find hope, and you will find joy, and you will find peace.
Bring me
prayers of the people during this Lenten season begin with a practice that is called Visio Divina. A lot of you may have heard of Lectio Divina, which is holy reading. This is, if you will, holy seeing. If you've been here the last couple of weeks, you know that there's a video that will play with just some kind of droning type of meditative music, and the visuals in that are an invitation into the experience of awe in what we see. We don't always have to close our eyes to enter into the vastness of God. It is right around us in things we can see. So the video will play for, I think it's roughly a minute. Then I will begin the prayers. There is a space for you to respond. And I will also leave space and invite you to speak aloud or just say in your heart any particular concerns you carry with you this day that you would like to lift up into this space of grace. So let us take time now with this Visio Divina. Let us pray. Holy and living God, we approach this time of prayer with curiosity about your world. With all our senses, we open to you. Give us lenses of awe with which to perceive and love others as you perceive and love us. We imagine in our mind's eye now the people in our lives, the people of our communities, the people of our world. Each one of them is beloved by you, and this alone creates awe in us. Please take a moment now to name silently or name aloud people for whom you wish to pray. For all these people and those we name in our hearts, we say together, hear our prayer, awesome God. Give us lenses of awe with which to perceive and love your creation as you perceive and love it. Each strange new species, each surprising wildflower, each ant carrying a load 10 times its weight, reminds us that our curiosity is fed in so many ways. You are making all things new all around us. Help us to care for the nature around us. I invite you now to speak silently or aloud your cares for the nature around us. For all these places, creatures, and life forms, and those we name in our hearts, we say together, hear our prayer, awesome God. Give us lenses of awe with which to perceive and love life as you perceive and love the life you have given us. Open us to greet each new day as if there is something new to learn and experience, so that we might stay curious and love discovery along this journey. Slow us down in this season of Lent, so that we might savor anew the gift of life. We pause in this silence and set our intentions of awe for the week ahead. For all these intentions, we say together, hear our prayer, awesome God. And now let us pray together the prayer that Jesus taught us, saying it in whatever words are most familiar and comfortable for you. Our loving God in heaven, holy is your name. My friends, our closing hymn today is Be Thou My Vision. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and let's join together in singing. So if you would like, you may open up your hands, palms up, because this is kind of a posture of receiving and curiosity. If you would like to remember throughout the week to be curious, take that pause and open up to the vastness so that the curiosity and creativity can flow within you. Now hear these words of benediction. Go forth remembering those words of Meister Eckhart. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. May you be a purveyor of awe this week. May you inspire others with your insatiable desire to know them beyond the surface. Know that when you do this, the reward of awe will be yours as you invite curiosity to live and breathe new life in you. Be a purveyor of awe, curating a life of spiritual depth that inspires others to join you on the journey. And may the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Sustainer of awe, the Holy Three in One, be with you now and throughout the days ahead. Amen. The Italy Choir has 2 songs they are going to offer for our postlude today.